Hi, we are Team Silver. We will be discussing community intelligence and social media services. Our team is made up of Mary Ashley, Alden Brooks, Ashley Burton, Carrie Davis, and Thad Wilkins.
The article we selected for our academic presentation was published in MIS Quarterly, June 2013, and is entitled Community Intelligence and Social Media Services, a Rumor Theoretic Analysis of Tweets During Social Crisis. This article looked at 3 social crisis incidents and explored those with tweets immediately in the aftermath of the social crisis. It looked at the Mumbai Attacks in 2008, the Toyota recall in 2010, and the Seattle Café shooting incident in 2012.
At least 55 people have been killed, according to our sister network, and about 200 injured in a series of coordinated attacks targeting luxury hotels, a train station, a hospital, a restaurant popular with Westerners and tourists. Gunfights ongoing, we understand, and possibly unconfirmed reports of a hostage situation with Western hostages being held.
Here are some examples of tweets from the Mumbai attacks. This happened in November of 2008. These tweets are from the day of the attack. 78 killed, Taj on fire. It started out with Yanks and Brits killed. Here is another tweet. Islamic Jihad in Mumbai killed 183, wound 400. And another tweet. The day in history, 11/26/2008, terrorists launched commando-style raids in Mumbai, killing 166 people.
All right, I know a lot of you are on edge about the huge Toyota recall. 2.3 million cars recalled because they could suddenly accelerate. Is hitting home to many of you. One man in Louisville is in the hospital in intensive care. He crashed his brand new Toyota Camry trying to park his car next to a creek. Says the car just wouldn't stop.
Here are some example tweets from the Toyota recall in 2010. 2010 Toyota recall. Not sure if this is the correct place to post this, but concerning the huge Toyota recall. Toyota Prius has a recall, all from 2005 to 2010. This car may try and kill you. And another tweet. Toyota announces 2010 Toyota Prius recall during Super Bowl. Jerks. Toyota recall, as we've already reported.
Police say the shooter was 40-year-old Ian Lee Stewicki, caught on surveillance cameras with what looks like a gun near his waist. They say his rampage began around 11 a.m. when he walked into the Seattle Café in the middle of a neighborhood and opened fire, killing 4 people inside and wounding the chef. He then ran out on foot and straight into Gloria Leonidas, a mother of 2. Police say he killed her just so he could take her Mercedes SUV as a getaway car.
Here are some example tweets from the Seattle Café shooting incident. Seattle alert. Roosevelt High School in lockdown. Gunman on the loose. Multiple people shot at Cafe Racer on 58th. Another tweet says, just heard about the Seattle shooting at the Racer Cafe. I love that place. Tragic and insane. And a final tweet. This is from ABC News. Seattle police hunt for gunman who shot 5 people in cafe.
My name is Alden Brooks, and we will be discussing a little bit about the authors. So let's take a look and find out who the authors are. First, we have Anouk O, who's an assistant professor at the University of Warwick. Next, we have Manish Argawal, who is an associate professor of information systems at the University of South Florida. We have H.R. Roa, who is a professor in management science at SUNY Buffalo. Next, let's take a look at the audience of this article. This article discusses social media in times of controversy and tragedy, and it is not limited to a certain group, but instead is inclusive and can be discussed among everybody.
Hello, this is Ashley Burton, and I will be discussing the purpose of the article and determining if the purpose of the article was met. The purpose of this article was to explore the information quality issue in the content of social crisis and media crisis. There are two basic questions that were trying to be answered. The first question was under what conditions does collective social reporting function as a community intelligence mechanism to address crisis problems? And the second question to be answered by the article was under what condition does social reporting degenerate into a rumor mill? In layman's term, our article's purpose was to determine if social media is a reliable source for information when a crisis is taking place. We as a group feel that the purpose of the article was met. They used 3 different crisis incidents to test the data retrieved from Twitter, which is a social networking site, to determine if the proposed hypotheses were correct. The 3 different crisis incidents were as follows: the Mumbai terrorist attack in 2008, the Toyota recalls in 2010, and the Seattle Café shooting incident in 2012. We found this article to be very useful in helping understanding the reliability of information being spread during a crisis through social media.
Hello, my name is Mary Atchley, and I will be discussing the relevance of this article in the 21st century. The way we receive information in the 21st century has drastically changed in the last 10 years. People no longer have to wait for the 5 o'clock news or their morning paper to receive information. With the prevalence of smartphones and tablets, people are even more connected than ever and can get information on the go. News is readily available through online news outlets and various social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter. The challenges that face users and news outlets range from the abundance of information and the necessity to properly sort through what is relevant and what is not, as well as the need to properly identify fact from opinion. If this is not done, stories that are not based in fact can spread quickly and have serious impacts. The audience is involved in the social media conversation in many ways. Not only are they reading the information, but they are sharing it with friends, individually responding, and actively engaging in a conversation. In fact, oftentimes media outlets measure success by the level of engagement of readers, including how many times they repost, share, or like a piece of information. Media outlets rely on users to actively engage in sharing out information from their sites or Twitter feeds in the hopes that they might reach an audience that they otherwise might not. In the effort to quickly share out information, it can oftentimes be difficult to be able to quickly discern what is fact and what is opinion. News outlets, municipalities, and governments need to put proper checks and balances in place to make sure that they can leverage social media to their benefit, but also be a reliable source of information. Additionally, responsibility lies with those who engage with social media platforms to take the extra step of confirming information independently from other sources, especially in times of crisis when information is being shared out minute by minute.
Hello, My name is Thad Wilkins, and I will discuss the literature search. The authors do not report their literature search strategy, for example, the database is searched, the inclusive dates, who reviewed the search results, and how the articles were selected. However, despite these limitations, the literature review appears reasonable and comprehensive. Their literature search was quite extensive, including 77 citations. These citations were from a variety of data sources, including books, traditional media outlets like CNN reports or headline news reports, a variety of journal articles, for example, Harvard Business Review or the Journal of Social Psychology, to name a few, traditional web articles, and finally, conference proceedings. The authors do not give us a lot of details regarding their literature search strategy. Therefore, we have to extrapolate details on the comprehensiveness of their search. It appears that they had a comprehensive search because they comprehensively searched the theoretical foundation of rumor theory and social crisis. They also extensively searched on the backgrounds of the three social crises that they used as examples in this study. And finally, there was extensive searching regarding the coding scheme and their analysis method.
Hi, my name is Carrie Davis, and today I will discuss whether or not I believe the article Community Intelligence and Social Media Services makes sense. The article structure does indeed make sense. It first starts with a brief introduction of mainstream media, followed by different social crises and information issues. It goes in depth of how rumors occur and at what stage they begin to evolve. From reading the article, it is very clear and defined as to the components that make up a rumor during such crises. It states that rumor equals anxiety plus information ambiguity plus personal involvement plus direct message. While giving such formula for the cause of a rumor, the article continues to go into great details as to what each means. Last but not least, it gives 3 good examples of social media crisis for the readers to be able to look at and see how social media was involved. Overall, the structure of the article is fantastic, as it guides you step by step without leaving you guessing what the author is trying to say.
Next, we will move into our question and answer session.
Do you use social media?
I don't use it. This is Thad. I have a Twitter account that I use professionally with students in the classroom, but I don't use it personally.
This is Ashley. I do use Twitter, and I use all social media. I use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's it, just those 3.
This is Alden, and I use Twitter, and mainly just for personal use to keep up with a few close friends.
Yeah, Alden, I'm with you. This is Mary. I mainly use social media to keep up with friends and family. So I use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram pretty much on a daily basis.
Same here, Mary. Facebook and Instagram is what I would use to keep up with, photos and friends and family, things like that.
And the authors limited their search to mainly just Twitter, but it sounds like that they maybe should have included other social media. What other media sources, Carrie and Thad, do you think that they should have used?
I actually disagree. I don't think they should have used other sources. The reason is on Twitter it's limited to 140 characters, so from a research standpoint, it was very easy to go back and search by date, and then they had very limited responses when they did their data analysis. So I think they made a wise choice with limiting their search to Twitter.
And I would have to agree with Thad on that because, just like you said, I also think Twitter is not as big and broad as Facebook, so that it does help with going back and trying to find what they were actually talking about, the news that they actually had.
So it sounds like that we all do use social media. As far as how you use it, does anybody use it to learn about developing news stories?
Oh, I was going to say, this is Mary, and I definitely do. I'm kind of a news junkie myself, and the nature of my job is I'm not really in front of a computer all day, every day. So when I'm out in the field, I oftentimes check Twitter on a pretty regular basis just to see what's going on and if there's anything breaking either locally or nationally.
And I'm with Mary as well. This is Ashley. I use it. I actually follow CNN and WSB-TV, which is local Channel 2 news, and also the Associated Press. I even follow MARTA because MARTA will post when the trays are running like 10 minutes behind or if something's not working. So I follow, besides just my friends, I follow it for the media because a lot of times that's a good source for quick news.
So as far as keeping up with breaking news, would you say that you prefer traditional media outlets or do you prefer news over Twitter or some other social media source?
I think I use Twitter to sort of get a quick check of what's going on, but if it's something that interests me or something that I want to find out more information, I'll definitely dig in a little bit more and maybe go to whatever the news source's website is. I think the interesting thing is that this isn't even a conversation we would have been having, 5, 6, 7 years ago because, getting your news was sort of relegated to 5 o'clock when you got home from work and was watching all this on TV. So it's interesting how, even how we get news on just a daily basis has changed because of social media outlets like Twitter and Facebook.
And when you guys see these news events on Twitter specifically, do you guys retweet or share or forward this information, or even on Facebook? Do you guys share that information with others, or you pretty much just read it for what it is?
I usually kind of read it for what it is. If it's something relative to like my area, or I might make a comment. I usually don't too much retweet the actual news provider. I guess I do sometimes, but most of the time, if it has to do with my area, then I might make a comment about it. Or a lot of times, a lot of my friends already follow the news, so somebody else has already reposted it or have commented about it themselves. But I won't repost like just one of my friends that said something about the weather outside or something. Usually, if it's something serious, I'll repost an actual news source.
When I'm on Facebook, I would normally, I guess you would actually share it on Facebook if it's something like Ashley said. If it's something pertaining to my area, or like we watch WTOC down here, if there's like a tornado watch or, flood warning or anything like that, I would share it just in case there is someone who isn't by TV or who wasn't following WTOC or something like that, just to kind of get it out to everyone who's around me.
Do you agree with the authors about the risk of rumors in social media during a crisis?
I think that's definitely a possibility, but I think that's where sort of user responsibility comes in to, be smart about what they take as fact versus fiction, and make sure that they're, getting their information from reputable, news sources, and just having the ability to, digest that information and dig into it if it seems somewhat questionable.
basically, of course, there's going to be rumors and anything dealing with social media because you're letting, if I receive the news at that point, I'm probably going to take it and put my own twist on it, and then I'm going to send it to the next person. They're going to put their own twist on it. So I can definitely see this big, uproar of the story actually not being told the way it should have been. But just like Mary said, you just kind of, you have to know that, hey, you're on social media, so you're going to have to go and dig for the facts and not just go by what someone is saying on the social media.
Yeah.
One thing is when you're following a traditional media like CNN, you believe that you can trust their site, but when they're on social media, we were talking earlier about when the AP account was hacked. Mary, do you want to talk some about that?
Yeah, so, I guess it's interesting to consider how even the most reputable of sources can be called into question somewhat. When the AP Twitter account was hacked, it was very, very brief but spread like wildfire that there had been an attack on the White House to the point that it impacted stocks that day on Wall Street. And, granted, all that bounced back, but for a moment there was significant fear based on that rumor because AP was considered to be a reputable source, so therefore people believed it was true. So, even the most reputable sources, I guess, are prone to have those things come up, be it, someone hacking their account or something being said or tweeted in error.
It's funny that y'all say that because I personally, even if it's not just necessarily social network, but even if I see something like on TV on the news, I usually flip between 3 or 4 channels to make sure what's being reported is actually reported. Okay, if more than one say it, then it's probably true. Because all the news are usually, on top of things. And so if something like that did happen, when that actually happened with AP, I was waiting for CNN to say something else about it. Or, but of course, like you said, it was very brief that it was hacked and they ended up fixing it, so nobody else reported it. But, I think it's just something, I always check, even just on TV, if I'm watching on TV and it's reported, breaking news, I usually go flip the channel to another reliable TV source to see if it's on there too.
Yeah. So if you guys are during a crisis, if a tweet comes out or if Facebook posts or Instagram, I guess is going to be pertaining to this, but if you guys see an image or a tweet or a post that has an image or video clip, are you guys more likely to believe that information as opposed to somebody that just has a bunch of words up?
Yeah, so a perfect example for me would be I was living in Birmingham, Alabama when the April 27th tornadoes came through in 2011 that, caused so much destruction in Tuscaloosa, and those storms were headed right for my house. So I lost all my power, and I was sitting in my closet with a mattress over my head, and all I had was my phone. That was my only way I could get updates on the weather and what was happening. And it was, so I guess that would have been the crisis that I was living through, and it was hugely beneficial to see. They posted images of the radar, videos of the radar, video of the storm, just so people could see where things were going. So that's a perfect example of when I would have leveraged it, and those pictures and video clips were extremely helpful at that time.
We actually had to use it here in Savannah. I want to say about 2.5 weeks ago, we had tropical storm Andrea. It was actually coming up, and most of us lost power for a few hours, some a few days. So just like Mary said, that was really our only way to keep in contact with the news source. And for my mom, people who aren't on any social networks, it was my way to make sure they knew what was going on other than, getting in the car and listening to the radio. So I can kind of just stay on the internet on my phone and see where it is and, when the power is expected to be back on, what Georgia Power is doing and different things like that. So it definitely does help.
No, I was just going to say, just to wrap things up, it'll be definitely interesting to see sort of how how this evolves over the next couple of years. There's such heavy adoption of social media, and companies are relying it so much to interact with their customers, and so it'll be interesting to see sort of how how it evolves and how it becomes even more sort of entwined in our day-to-day activities and day-to-day lives, whether it's related to breaking news or crises or anything really. So.
Yeah, good. So if you could forecast which social media is going to take off, what would you forecast in the next 2 to 3 years would be it?
Unless they create a new one, I think it's kind of, I would stick with what we already have, with Twitter being a quick, easy 60-character limit. I think Facebook and Twitter are pretty much set in there as far as leading the way. Like I said, unless something new and improved and better comes out.
I would agree with Ashley. I think that the benefit to a site like Twitter, even over something like Facebook, is, in a culture where we're on the go and we can't, we may not necessarily be where we can sit and go through Facebook or whatever. Twitter to me is so helpful because it's quick snapshots. It's a, just a little quick fix of what's going on. So, as it relates to sharing news and, getting word out to the community, I would think that Twitter would continue to be the most heavily used.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Along that point, one of my favorite news sites is called Newser, and they recap stories from other ones, and they simply give you about 3 sentences for each major news story, and they do that. So I think it's interesting that you brought that up. I think Twitter is good in that aspect as opposed to, like you said, Facebook or some of the others.